Hey everybody, today is June 13th, 2023. Today we're going to talk about the price of Bitcoin. We're going to talk about whether I think Bitcoin is going to continue its downtrend that we've been in for the last couple of months, or whether we finally bottomed and potentially it will go up higher. We'll talk about the SEC news that shocked the market last week and how that could affect the price of Bitcoin going forward. And of course the Federal Reserve meeting tomorrow and how that could affect the price as well. Before we begin, please read the disclaimer and pause the video if you want to read it. Okay, so basically, the big news last week, of course, was that the SEC decided to sue Coinbase and Binance, right? And that caused a big shock in the market. Of course, we saw a big price collapse, and it started to stabilize a little bit. But essentially, they listed several tokens that aren't Bitcoin or Ethereum as securities, like Solana, Matic, stuff like that. And that caused a big shock because now it's like, well, are they going to go after other tokens? Are they going to possibly go after Bitcoin? But they're also going after exchanges, right? Operating unregistered exchanges, stuff like that. So yeah, that is definitely causing a lot of worry because Binance and Coinbase are the two largest exchanges in the world, and if they get shut down or if something happens to them, then that could be a problem for the whole onboarding process. Most people aren't sophisticated enough to use decentralized exchanges to buy and trade cryptos, and most people, they want something that's user friendly, right? And we've seen some exchanges like Robinhood, who have started to delist certain crypto like Solana, that have been named as securities in the official lawsuit complaint, right? And yeah, this whole regulation by enforcement is, in my opinion, ridiculous. But it is something that is scaring a lot of people, and that's going to have an effect on the market. So yeah, so the question is Bitcoin going to continue on lower, or is the market potentially pricing in this information, right? So first things first, let's talk about macro data, right? So today, CPI inflation data shows that we fell from 4.9% in April to 4% in May. So things are looking good in terms of CPI, right? The Fed has they've risen. They rose the interest rates, Fed funds rate over 5%. So the question, and that's been putting a lot of downward pressure on the stock market. I'm sorry, the stock market, put a lot of downward pressure on inflation, right? Because it's been stunning growth in our economy. But the stock market is starting to rally now because with the inflation cooling, sorry, let me wait for this to load. With inflation showing that it's cooling, the chances of the Fed hiking are a lot lower now. So there's a good chance that tomorrow, the Fed meeting, that they're going to pause rates, and so the market is obviously rallying off of that because usually when interest rates are paused or go down, that's usually good for the market, right? So, but the problem is that the market is a little bit overbought right now, and usually Bitcoin follows the market. For now, it's not because of the whole SEC data. It's been going down, right? Even though the market's been ripping. Sorry, SEC lawsuits, right? But usually the Bitcoin tends to follow the price of the stock market, right? So with the stock market being short-term overbought, in my opinion, I do think that we are overdue for a bit of a pullback or even consolidation. That could put even more downward pressure in terms of technicals, right, on Bitcoin. That with the SEC data, I do think that with the SEC lawsuit and the fact that Bitcoin has been in a downtrend over the last couple of months, right? Lower highs, lower lows. I do think that you're sort of seeing like a wedge pattern here, right? Probably going to go down lower. My initial price target was actually around 25,000. I've been calling for 25,000. Still waiting for 25. I've been waiting for 25,000 for a while, right? How long have I been waiting for 25,000? 25,000. So basically since May, I've been waiting for 25,000. And so in my latest tweet on EddieLux_ on Twitter, please follow me on Twitter if you haven't. I post on Thursdays. And so basically last week I said that Bitcoin is showing resilience despite the SEC suing Binance and Coinbase. However, the 200-week SMA level is key, right? And back on Thursday, we were actually holding the 200-day. The problem is now we closed the weekly below the 200-day, which is bad. So it does seem like the momentum is to the downside. So I've shifted my price target down to the 200-day moving average now, because in the past we've seen Bitcoin has touched the 200-day moving average several times, right? Just see if I can. It might take a while to load. Okay. So you can see in the past, Bitcoin has come down to touch the 200, right? Usually this is like 2017, but when Bitcoin is starting to come out of a bear market, it's not uncommon for it to come down and retest certain moving average, right? This was a big dump down to 200 moving average. But as it becomes more and more parabolic, right, into the 2017, we tend to start to move away from the moving averages. But when we're in the beginning, right, it's not uncommon for Bitcoin price to come down and retest these moving averages as it starts to make its way up, right, into a new bull market. So I think what we're seeing right now is Bitcoin perhaps coming down closer to the 200-day moving average. And of course, as each day that passes, this line is going to move up, right? So this price target is going to go up higher. Right now, the 200-day is at 23,600, right? So by the time it comes down for one final capitulation, in my opinion at least, I do think it's going to be closer to 25,000. So my price target is probably like 25,000, but really it's just a 200-day. So that's where my price target has moved. But that's probably going to happen if like the SEC announces another or the DOJ, the Department of Justice, announces like criminal charges against like Binance or something, because that's another serious charge that people are speculating that the SEC complained about the Binance doing allegedly doing illegal stuff, right? Which was not something that was in the Coinbase complaint. The SEC did not allege that Coinbase CEO Brian was doing anything, but they did allege that CZ was allegedly doing potentially illegal stuff, right? So if that is to come out, if there's more news to come out, that could cause a shock to the market. We can see a quick capitulation, right? And yeah, so I'm just waiting still. I've been waiting for like the last couple of months. We've basically still been in a downtrend. Nothing has really changed, and the fact that Bitcoin is going down while the stock market is going up, right? I mean, just look at this. June, right? This is June. Bitcoin's going down, but look at the stock market. Not only is it going up, but it's continuing to go up today, right? But what does this mean? It means that there's potential opportunity in the market, right? We just saw that the stock market is in extreme greed, but the crypto markets are in fear right now because a lot of it has to do with the SEC data. The SEC lawsuit. If the SEC lawsuit didn't exist, right, last week we would be seeing Bitcoin rallying with the stock market as it usually follows the stock market, right? But we still have this lawsuit on the hands. However, if you look at the on-chain data, right, the mining, right, hash rate is actually at all-time high, which is really good. And we look at the 2-year multiplier. This shows us areas where Bitcoin could be overbought, right, or oversold, right? And historically, when Bitcoin is under this green line, it tends to be a good opportunity to buy. Obviously, this is not financial advice, and you have to do your own research and make your own decisions. But does this not look like 2015, right? It looks very similar to the 2015 to 2017 cycle, which was a lot slower, right, into parabolic rise in 2017, right? Whereas in 2019 to 2021 cycle, we saw like sprints, right? A huge echo rally in 2019, followed by consolidation, and then another sprint higher until 2021, right? So I do think we're seeing something more like 2016, 2017, which is like a slow but steady rise. And this is actually better, I think, and healthier, and will probably have a higher peak than what we saw in the last cycle. See, we're having a long time under. We're spending a long time under the green line. So possibly good opportunity to accumulate. But then again, you gotta do your own research and think about your own risk tolerance, right? Pi cycle top indicator is generally a very accurate indicator of when to sell, but it's also a good indicator of when to buy as well, right? The Pi cycle top indicator usually tells us that Bitcoin is out of a bear market when after staying below the orange line for a while, it finally reclaims and it goes above the orange line. And once in a while, it'll come down and retest the orange line, right? But as long as the general trend is above the orange line, it generally signifies that Bitcoin is possibly in a bull market, right? So we're seeing something very similar again to 2016, 2017, where we come above this orange line, and we come down and retest, and we'll touch the orange line once in a while, right? We'll touch the orange line once in a while. See how we're touching the orange line? Maybe go a little below, but as long as we hold the orange line in the bigger picture, that tends to be very bullish. And we're seeing something very similar, right? We've come above the orange line now. We come down when we tested the orange line. Let me just zoom in. We tested the orange line here when we had the regional bank crisis in March, right? We came down, we held the orange line. Now we're below the orange line. But as long as we stay up somewhere in this similar area, right, and we're able to hold, maybe like rip up higher and then holds the orange line as support, that could possibly mean that we're going to continue up higher, right? And this could, again, be a possibly good opportunity to buy. Of course, again, you gotta do your own research, think about your own risk tolerance, right? We're not in extreme fear, right? The market has less room to go up. The stock market has less room to go up than Bitcoin has to go down, right? Bitcoin can still fall down to extreme fear, right? And so there's still room to fall, and I think that could be based if the DOJ announces criminal charges against CZ or Binance. I think that headline, or there's more securities, or it's not securities, there's more the SEC names more cryptocurrencies as securities. I think that could be one final capitulation candle to the 200-day moving average, right? So that's what I'm looking for. Right now, I am just waiting to see if there's going to be more negative headwinds coming out. Of course, we have the Fed meeting tomorrow. Are they going to raise rates? Are they going to pause rates or potentially cut rates? I personally think they're going to pause rates, especially since the inflation data was cool today instead of hot. But then again, a lot of people still think that there's a good chance they might raise rates 25 basis points. But we'll have to see, and we'll have to see how the market reacts and how Bitcoin reacts. Okay? Because right now, Bitcoin is, there's a lot of headwinds from the lawsuits, and it's not following the stock market, even though the stock market is having an incredible rally. So that's a bit worrying, but at the same time, it could potentially present buying opportunities, right? Again, I'm not saying that you have to buy here, but this is just what I'm personally doing, right? Do your own research, make your own decisions. But yeah, so to summarize, I do think that Bitcoin, the market is trying to digest and price in the lawsuits, the SEC lawsuits against Coinbase and Binance. And I think for now, that's going to suppress the market and we'll probably go sideways for a while. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like I said, this market cycle seems like it is following something similar to 2015 to 2000. Whoops, zoomed out a little bit too much. Get a cleaner chart. Just apologize for that. So it does seem like we're following this market cycle, right? 2015 to 2017, rather than this market cycle, which was our last market cycle from 2019 to 2021, right? Basically, we're in a bear market for a while, then we come up, and then we can see it was sideways. The market was sideways for several months, right? And then it takes its time to walk up, and then it became parabolic later, right? Whereas in the 2019 to 2021 market cycle, we basically sprinted and it went sideways and had another sprint. Ultimately, this one ended up with a higher peak, a more parabolic peak. And I think that's what we're seeing this time. We're probably going to go sideways for a while until the whole SEC thing gets, at least people start to not fear it anymore, or it gets settled. I don't think it's going to get settled for a while. It's probably going to drag out people are expecting the lawsuits to drag out for several years, right? I mean, Coinbase and Binance, they have billions of dollars to fight these lawsuits if they really wanted to. And they probably will. I think Coinbase definitely will. I mean, Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, has been very vocal about fighting these lawsuits. And so yeah, I can see Bitcoin being dragged out for a while before going up higher, right? But ultimately, I am definitely looking for buying opportunities. But I think it's important to keep our eyes out for more news regarding the SEC, right? I definitely am. And of course, the Fed meeting tomorrow is going to affect the stock market, and it'll be interesting to see how the crypto markets react. If the Fed pauses or lowers rates, I don't think they're going to lower rates, but I think they'll at least pause rates, right? Because of course interest rates affect the crypto markets, right? When the interest rates goes down, people are more likely to take risks. Risk on assets tend to do a lot better, right? And including cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, they're treated as risk on assets, at least for now. But yeah, a lot of headwinds with the SEC lawsuits, and yeah, just a lot to think about. But we'll definitely update you on Thursday to see. At least on Thursday, I will update you on Twitter. So please follow me on EddieLux_ on Twitter. for the chart to see how the price of Bitcoin has reacted to the Fed decision tomorrow. And I'll definitely update you on the video next Tuesday and see if there's any more news that comes out from the SEC or the Department of Justice regarding potentially more new lawsuits, clarification perhaps, or perhaps any criminal charges, right, that could affect the price of Bitcoin in the crypto markets. But again, just to summarize for now, I do think that we're going to continue that lower, and I do think that the 200-day moving average, this blue line, will act as strong support, at least in the short term. And if we do get a capitulation event, I will be thinking about adding to my positions. And of course, you gotta make your own decisions, not financial advice. This is just what I'm doing. Okay. Yeah. So that's basically what I'm at right now, and I'll definitely update you going forward as more information comes out. If you found this video helpful, useful, informative, please like this video, leave a comment below, and subscribe for updates. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate all your support. Thank you again, and have a great day.